Okay, you got me. Enough with the tagging. Largo 64, Eddie Gumbar, and Heatherlyn Blue. That's not tagging, that's bullying. And you're all in my book of vengeance, and I will have that vengeance at some point. So let's get rid of those in case there's any reflection. I did write down 1,500 interesting facts about me, but I understand I can only give 5, so I may have to make a series of 100 videos just about me, but still. Okay, my first ever detention at school was in religious education class. I think the teacher had asked for an example of a social disease, expecting somebody to come up with poverty or malnutrition or something like that, and I said VD. Knowing that the teacher would say, that's not a social disease, and I replied, but you have to be pretty sociable to get it. He went back to the chalkboard, but because the laughter didn't stop, he gave me a detention. A side issue of that is they once tried to cane me at school, and they failed because I simply ran around the table and I wouldn't let the headmaster hit me. I've always been difficult. Never did get that. I never did get the whack, as we called it in England. That was 1. 2. There was a moment, actually 2 minutes, when I forgot who I was. It happened in hospital when I woke up after drinking nearly 2 bottles of whiskey, a bottle of Shinzano Rosé and 2 tins of beer to celebrate Christmas. The nurse asked me my name and I laughed because I didn't have the faintest idea who I was or even what I looked like. I knew nothing about me at all. I knew I was in a hospital, but I didn't know what city. I couldn't think of any cities. The girl told me where I was and it still didn't trigger anything off. The only thing I remembered was my father's work phone number. So he had to get a call from the local hospital asking him if he had a son. And I'll always be guilty about how horrible that must have felt. And he made me pay for it as he was driving me back from hospital. I have a 100% boxing record because I only ever fought once. We had a thing at school whereby we used to get in the ring at break times and at lunch times, and the rule was if you watched the fights you had to take part yourself if you were challenged, and some kid who was trying to get in with the in crowd challenged me because I had one of the biggest mouths in the school, and he, as I say, was 6'3", and he'd had a bit of boxing training, but he didn't realise that I was terrified of hitting the deck in front of all those girls that I wanted so bad. So when he did his classic boxing defence move, I realised he couldn't see me, and I broke his nose with his own fist by just punching through his gloves. No one ever challenged me again, which is good because I would never have got back in the ring again because I don't think I'd have been that lucky. I think I did get a couple of girlfriends out of it though, so nice one. I nearly lost my left nipple once. Off the coast of North Africa, a wave knocked me down on the ground and mushed me against some broken seashells, and when I climbed out onto the beach, a lot of people were gasping, and I looked down and there was a lot of blood. At least it looked like a lot of blood. The seawater made it look more dramatic than it was. And I was actually sat down with my sister and my mother, toweling myself off, before I actually realised that my nipple was hanging on by the tiniest bit of skin. And I sort of folded it back on and then took my finger off, and it promptly fell off again, and I had to hold it on for an hour. And to this day I think there's one hair growing out of it, so that my right nipple is far more manly than my left nipple. I figured out evolution pretty much, I'm exaggerating, at the age of 3, according to my mother, because I ran around to the keepers at the zoo saying, they're human beings, let them out, meaning the chimpanzees in the cages. I mention that because it seems bizarre that a 3-year-old can recognise the similarity in the skeletal forms of Homo sapiens and the great apes, but Kent Hovind can't. Is that the lot? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, that's the lot. Obviously I've missed out anything that could make me look bad. Quite deliberately, I admit it. And the ones that I will tag in return are AtheistAaaron, Azrienoch, Christopher 7, KT45, and tenneral. So I'll put those names in the sidebar. Look forward to hearing 5 facts about those 5 people, and no more tagging this year.